Are you with the right person, or are you just settling for what's comfortable? These are questions that can make us pause and reflect. In our journey of love and companionship, self-awareness and self-exploration are key. They help us recognize if we are truly content or merely compromising. Over the course of this video, we'll be discussing some telltale signs that might indicate you're with the wrong person. If you're unsure, stay tuned as we delve into the signs that you may be with the wrong person. The first sign is if you find yourself constantly justifying their actions to yourself or others. This is a significant red flag in any relationship, and it's essential to recognize it early on. But how does it manifest, and why is it such a concern? Well, imagine this. You're at a dinner party with friends and your partner makes a snide comment about your outfit. Instead of calling them out, you laugh it off, saying they're just joking, even though it hurt your feelings. Or perhaps they're often late for dates, and you find yourself always making excuses for them, such as, they're just really busy at work. These are examples of constantly justifying your partner's actions. The reason this is a red flag is that it shows a lack of respect and consideration on their part. When you constantly justify their actions, you're essentially saying that their behavior is acceptable when it's not. You're putting their needs and feelings above your own, which is never healthy in a relationship. This can lead to feelings of resentment, unhappiness, and even emotional abuse in extreme cases. It's important to remember that everyone makes mistakes, and it's natural to justify the occasional slip-up. However, if it's a recurring pattern, it's a clear indication that something is wrong. Remember, in a healthy relationship, both partners should be held accountable for their actions. There's no need to constantly make excuses or justify poor behavior. If you're ever in a situation where you're regularly defending your partner's actions to yourself or others, it's time to step back and reevaluate the relationship. It's also worth noting that when you're in love, it can be easy to overlook these red flags. You might think that you're just being understanding or supportive, but there's a fine line between being understanding and enabling poor behavior. In conclusion, constant justification of your partner's actions is a clear sign that you might be with the wrong person. It's crucial to prioritize your feelings and well-being in any relationship. Don't allow yourself to be treated poorly or taken for granted. Remember, it's not your job to make excuses for someone who is treating you poorly. The second sign is if you often feel drained after spending time with them. In the realm of relationships, energy is a vital yet often overlooked component. It's the invisible tether that either pulls two people closer together or pushes them apart. Relationships, in their ideal form, should be a source of joy, a wellspring of energy that invigorates you. They should lift you up, make you feel lighter, happier, and more alive. But what happens when the opposite is true? What happens when, instead of feeling uplifted, you feel drained, sapped of vitality after spending time with your partner? Feeling drained could manifest in many different ways. Perhaps you find yourself more tired than usual, constantly needing to catch your breath, as if keeping pace with your partner is a marathon. Maybe you're mentally exhausted, with your thoughts running in circles, trying to keep up with their demands or expectations. It could be an emotional drain. You might feel like you're walking on eggshells, always on edge, never knowing what might trigger the next argument. Or perhaps it's a spiritual drain, where you feel disconnected from your own values, your own sense of self, because you're too busy catering to your partner's desires. Sometimes it's a subtle feeling of unease, a sense of being off, even if you can't quite put your finger on why. You might find your hobbies less enjoyable, your friends less interesting, because your partner takes up all your energy. The key here is balance. Of course, all relationships require effort. There will be days when you feel tired, days when you argue. But those days should be the exception, not the rule. If you consistently feel drained after spending time with your partner, that's a red flag. It's a sign that the relationship is taking more from you than it's giving, leaving you running on empty. So take a moment to check in with yourself. How do you feel after spending time with your partner? Energized or exhausted? Inspired or depleted? If your partner often leaves you feeling exhausted, it might be time to reevaluate your relationship. The third sign is if you're not receiving the emotional support you need. It's a truth universally acknowledged that emotional support is a cornerstone of any successful relationship. It's the glue that binds us together, the invisible thread that weaves through our connections, making us feel seen, heard, and understood. So what does it look like when emotional support is absent? It might look like a partner who is dismissive of your feelings. Imagine sharing a hard day at work, and their response is to brush it off or tell you to get over it. There's no empathy, no shared understanding, no comforting words or gestures. Or perhaps they're always too busy to listen, or too focused on their own problems to lend an ear to yours. They might even use your vulnerabilities against you, turning your confessions into ammunition for later arguments. These are all telltale signs of a partner who lacks the ability or willingness to provide emotional support. It's also worth noting that emotional support isn't just about the big, dramatic moments. It's just as crucial, if not more so, in the small, everyday interactions. It's about showing interest in your partner's day, offering words of encouragement when they're trying something new, and being there to laugh or cry with them. It's about holding space for them to express their emotions without judgment or criticism. Emotional support is about being a safe haven for your partner, a place where they can let down their guard and be their authentic selves. It's about being a source of comfort and reassurance, a pillar of strength they can lean on when times are tough. And it's a two-way street. Both partners should provide and receive this kind of support. If you're always the one providing support, but never receiving it, that's a red flag. If your partner never opens up to you or shuts you out when you try to support them, that's another warning sign. But remember, everyone has their off days. It's a pattern of lacking emotional support that's concerning, not a one-off incident. A partner who isn't there for you emotionally, especially during hard times, may not be the right person for you. The fourth sign is if you and your partner don't have a shared vision of the future. Now, this might sound like a lofty concept, but it's quite simple, really, and it's crucial for the longevity and success of a relationship. When we say a shared vision, we're talking about common goals, aspirations, and dreams for the future. Imagine two artists. One dreams of a quiet life in the countryside, painting landscapes, while the other aspires to have their work displayed in the bustling art galleries of New York. These are two beautiful dreams, but they don't exactly align, do they? This is what we mean by a lack of shared vision. Having shared goals doesn't mean you and your partner should have identical dreams. Of course not. We're all unique individuals with our own passions and ambitions. But in a relationship, it's important to have some common ground, some shared aspirations that you both can work towards together. Perhaps it's as simple as wanting to travel the world together, or as complex as starting a business. Maybe it's about creating a cozy home filled with pets or raising a family. Whatever it is, these shared dreams and goals are the glue that binds you together, providing a sense of direction and purpose to your relationship. When there's no shared vision, it's like two ships sailing in the night, each on their own course, never really meeting or going in the same direction. It can lead to feelings of disconnect, frustration, and even loneliness. You might find yourselves growing apart rather than growing together. So take a moment to reflect. Do you and your partner talk about the future? Do you have shared dreams, goals, or ambitions? Are you excited about the same things? If not, it might be time to have a serious conversation. If you can't envision a future with your partner, or if your visions drastically differ, this could be a sign you're with the wrong person. Relationships are about building a life together, and that requires a shared vision. So, don't overlook this crucial aspect of your relationship. So, those are the signs that you might be with the wrong person. What do you think? It's worth taking a moment to ponder on these points, and perhaps even introspect about your own relationships. We've touched upon the importance of not having to constantly justify your partner's actions. If you find yourself constantly making excuses for their behavior, it might be an indicator that you're not in the right relationship. We then discussed the feeling of being drained. True, every relationship has its ups and downs, but if you're constantly feeling exhausted, it's a sign that something isn't right. We've also touched upon emotional support, or rather, the lack of it. If you're not receiving the emotional support you need, it's a clear sign that you might be with the wrong person. Lastly, we talked about the lack of a shared vision for the future. If you and your partner can't agree on your future together, it could be a sign that you're not meant to be. Remember, relationships are about mutual respect, understanding, and support. If you're not feeling these things in your relationship, it's crucial to take a step back and reassess. Remember, it's okay to prioritize your happiness and well-being. If these signs resonate with you, it might be time to reevaluate your relationship. You deserve to be with someone who truly values and respects you. Don't settle for less.